Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Daily Creative Challenges. My name is Andrew Hockrattle. I am your host, guide, travel agent, and person in the middle seat for right now. So we got our nice little neck pillow, we got our headphones, because over the next 2 weeks we are going on a world tour. It's going to be an amazing, fun time. If you're just joining us for the first time ever, it's a little crazy, it's a little wonky, but we are going to learn some Illustrator together. So this is the Daily Challenge for Adobe Illustrator. Again, my name is Andrew Hockrattle. Yes, pronounced like a hawk and a rattle right up there. So you all can follow along with these challenges in a whole bunch of different ways. It's so good to see you all in chat. Hello, Paige is here. Our friend Gus is here. Jay is here. Hello. Let's do this. Let me know where you're watching from in the world. Put in your country or your city or even your street. Don't put your street in. Put where you're watching from in the world. It always makes me happy to see you all tuning in from around the world on our world tour. And hello, Tom LaRock. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in and tell you about how you can be involved in this incredible community that we are building over the next 2 weeks. Yesterday, we did a little bit of work and we started out with our challenge, right? We got a little bit loose, like we got through TSA, got checked in, and now we're going on our world tour. So our first stop in the world tour is, of course, Paris. Where else would we go? Have to go to Paris. So you can go to behance.net/challenge/Illustrator, and that is the place that you can get our source file for today. You also can touch this button, and by touch I mean click. That's the weirdest way to put that. You can click this button up top, and that will notify you every single day when we are live with a new challenge at 11:30 Pacific time, as well as 7 p.m. Pacific time. And hello, Shailesh. We are going to India near the end of these challenges, so that'll be a fun time. All right, so you can click that and it will notify you each day. You can then scroll down and get your source files every single day for what we're working on. You will need them today. I've built out a little scene for us to work on, which will be really fun. And then if you want to, you can scroll all the way to the bottom and see challenges from the past. Now, at the end of these challenges, there will be an opportunity for you to post a case study, which is basically just all of the different things that you've done throughout the week. We have some people that have done it for the Daily Creative Challenges for Photoshop here, and you can post and then have the opportunity to get featured in the Best of Behance. I have 2 more things to talk about, so stick with me. I promise we'll get to it. That's right, Max is coming up. Max is the last thing that I want to talk about. Make sure you register for Max. It's free. It's a great resource to do some awesome stuff, to learn some cool things, and hang out with a bunch of cool people. And speaking of hanging out, you want to search my last name in that little course catalog, we'll have a couple sessions where we can hang out together. So make sure you're registered for Max and make sure that you are logged in and registered for my session so that we can hang out together. All right, so enough about me. Let's talk about you. How can you get involved? That's right here, bit.ly/AI Discord. That is the place to be for everything Daily Creative Challenges, everything Illustrator, and everything creative community. Let's pop over and see what's happening. There we go. That's my Discord transition. On Discord, you can see that there are a lot of people posting their challenges from yesterday. It was to make a stamp for the world tour that we are going on. So lots of fun work here. And again, in these challenges, there's no wrong rules. There's no rules and there's no wrong answers, are the words that I wanted there. You can experiment and try whatever you want. Today, I'm going to be showing you a bunch of techniques. We're going to be trying to build the Eiffel Tower. And full transparency, we're probably not going to finish it during the 30 minutes, but I'm going to show you the techniques that you need to create the structure, to create the patterns, to think with simple shapes, and that way you can go and create your own piece on your own time and explore Illustrator and just push your creativity, right? No wrong answers. So let's go ahead and get started. As always, if you're just tuning in, we like to have a lot of fun, get a little goofy, but also learn some stuff. So we're going on a world tour, so let's go ahead and hop in to our world tour. Bonjour, mon ami. Hello, we are here. We have landed in the gorgeous Paris, France. Let's make sure we're nice and red here. And what we're going to be doing today in the basking in the glory of the city of love, we're going to be working with some exciting tools in Illustrator where we can transform and transform again. Very easy and quick for creating patterns, and we're going to use it to create some scaffolding for, yes, none other than the Eiffel Tower. I'll also show you how to think in simple shapes so that we can build it out using Adobe Illustrator. So with that, let's go ahead and curl our mustaches, grab a baguette, and jump over into our Daily Creative Challenge today. So over here in the Daily Creative Challenge, you all will have this source file, and every day I will have the challenge for you, as well as a little bit of encouragement. So today we are drawing the Eiffel Tower using simple shapes and the Transform Again tool. Going to be very, very fun. So let's go ahead and hop in. So I have gone to Adobe Stock ahead of time, and especially when you're working with something like this, it's easier to work with some kind of reference image. So I don't want to put this in the file because then you basically just use it. So you can find your own source image. If you want to do a different building, you can do that as well. But let's hop in and look at this. So looking at this, if we think about simple shapes, right, it really is a bunch of rectangles and maybe some circles, right? Not necessarily triangles, but there are some triangular pieces. So let's go ahead and hop in and look at what these shapes are. Let's use some rectangles using M, or just the rectangle tool here. And we're going to kind of build out the sections that we see. I'm going to go ahead and just outline these in red. And this is an easy way to start with illustration, is to go through and kind of piece out the sections of this illustration. So we're going to continue on, and I'm just going to, again, keep making little rectangles that kind of attach to the next one. And this is just a reference for me to say, okay, what are these sections? Where are they going? And what's happening here? So let's do, there's another section there. And then this actually feels like it could be two long rectangles, right? We have one that maybe could go to here, and another one that could go all the way here. Hello, bonjour, Dee. Bonjour. There we go. So we've kind of stretched it out and we've started stacking. And then of course at the top here, it looks like we have maybe a little bit of an oval. So let's do an oval here, and then a nice little spire coming off of that. And we'll connect this oval as well. So as we look here, right, that we've gotten the idea of the Eiffel Tower. Not quite the Eiffel Tower, but the idea with all these basic shapes. And that's what we're going to work with. We're going to work with basic shapes to create the outline and then fill it in using Transform and Transform Again. So I'm going to select all of these, and I just want to click this top object, and I'm going to align them to center, and that will align them all together so that they feel like they are at the center of what we're working. So great, we have worked just with boxes. Let's go ahead and center up that spire on top. And now what we're going to do with these boxes is we're going to start manipulating the individual points. So even though they are simple shapes, we can start to make them very complex very quickly by simply grabbing these little points. They're called anchor points, using the direct selection tool, or just A. So we're going to click these, and we are going to, again, just keep clicking and dragging until they kind of fit the outline that we're looking for. This stays like that, and this maybe can come here, and we'll drag these out. And again, when you have a reference image, it's much easier to be able to trace something out. You can do this by eye if you want to kind of create your own piece and see what happens. But I'm sort of following this reference image that we have here, and then these simple shapes all look good. Let's actually bring this one in just a tiny bit to give it some more dimension. Got it. So now we have our simple shapes, and the only thing that's missing is that we don't have these cutouts. And again, these cutouts are super simple shapes. Even though this is very much an oval, we're going to cheat just a little bit, and we're going to make this a circle. So I'm going to make this a very large circle, and I'm just hitting L, which is the ellipse tool. And with these on top of each other, we have the circle on top and the trapezoid, I guess, in the back. With both of those selected, we can come over to the Pathfinder, and we can click here. And what this is going to do is it's going to basically hole punch the top shape out of the back shape. So we'll click on that, and now we've got a nice little curve here. It looks good. I'm actually going to keep this circle because we're going to use it later. So keep a version of this circle because we'll use it later when we do Transform Agains. So we are looking pretty good here. Let's go ahead and drag this over to the side. I'm going to select it all and click holding Shift and Alt. And there we go. we've got a pretty good version of the Eiffel Tower, looking good to me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select all of this, and we're going to go over to the Pathfinder, and again, we're just going to join that all together. So it's now all joined together. It looks like we've got a pretty good outline. I'm going to grab these 2 points here because here they feel a little bit more rounded. And I'll grab those 2 anchor points and then click on these little nodes and just pull them out to round it a little bit. There we go. So it looks good to me. The only thing that we're missing are these little inside parts. So let's do one more. And again, looking at this, you could think that it's a complex shape, but really, y'all, everything's rectangles, circles, or triangles, I promise. Everything is just one of those things. So we're going to pull this in and make it so that there is a nice little cutout here so that we can look through and create some dimension in our icon that we're creating. All right, so let's go ahead and drag this over. Mikkel, yes, lots of people were making cool badges yesterday, so you can catch up on that if you like. It wasn't technically a challenge, but if you want a little challenge, why not? Go for it. Cool, so there we go. We have our nice outline of the Eiffel Tower. And now I'm going to show you some more complex stuff, all right? So we've built this using basic shapes, and this is where it's about to get crazy. So let's go ahead and start somewhere very easy. Let's look here at this observation deck, right? If you're creating an observation deck, it looks like, right, it's similar. Whoa, let's zoom out there. You'll see, especially in architecture when you're doing buildings, there's a lot of repeating happening, right? There's a lot of things that just happen again and again and again and again. And one that I see is this little shape that's right here. So I'm going to show you how to make one of those, and we're just going to make a very rough outline. Again, we're cheating because of time. One, because of time, and two, maybe because of style, right? There's, again, no wrong answers in design. Excuse me. So we're going to grab that, and we are just, again, thinking with basic shapes. How do we build this out and create it with basic shapes? We have maybe another line that's coming out here, and let's do one more that is scaled down. And yes, you can watch this again later. This is always available on YouTube 24/7, 365, 92. I don't know what the 92 is, but it felt like we needed another number in there. So now I have one of these little posts, which looks great. Oh, the music is too loud. Let's go ahead and fix that. Thank you. There we go. Is that better? That going better, everybody? Let me know how that is. So we have these different shapes here. And what we can do, this is the lesson that I'm going to teach you today, is how to make a whole bunch of these, right? So check this out. If we take this over here, and this is the first place that we have it, right? Let's click and drag. Now you can hold Shift and hold Alt or Option. And when you click and drag, it will make a copy, right? So now we've made an awesome little copy of that across the way. And we are going to basically tell Illustrator, hey, that thing that we just did, we want to do it again. We want to do it again and again and again and again, right? So one more time, let's think about the inputs that we're telling Illustrator, right? We're saying, hey, Illustrator, this shape here, right, of this little accent, we want you to select it, to drag it, holding Shift, which keeps it perpendicular, and hold Alt or Option, which you can see in my cursor, then turns into the two little ones, which means make a copy. And so then we put it right there in the middle, right? So we just told Illustrator all of those inputs. And now what we can do is we can go up here and we can go to Object, Transform, and Transform Again. And what Transform Again does is it tells Illustrator, hey, you know that thing that we just did? I want you to do that one more time. And so because, again, remember, we moved it holding Shift, we hold Option or Alt to create a copy. When we click Transform Again, it's going to do that exactly again. So the hotkey for that is just Command D. So we can hit that, and we're actually going to hit all of these little pieces that we want right there for our tower. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these. There we go. And we'll pull them over onto our tower. So there we go. We have a little bit of an observation deck going. We're just use the pen tool and pull one of these across. A nice little extra line. And when we look here, we see some other things, right? And this is where we're going to kind of jump around a little bit. I see these windows, right? I see these windows. So let's go ahead and put some windows in there, right? Let's go over to our outline that we're working and put in some windows in the background. Now, this is going to get a little bit wonky, but I'm going to get it wonky on purpose so that I can show you something. So as we drag these, right, again, we're doing the same thing that we did in Illustrator is we are grabbing the path. We're holding Alt and Shift or Option and Shift. And then we're going to line these up just to point to point. So they'll go point to point right there. And you can see because we told Illustrator we want to drag, make a copy of that, we can hit Command D and watch what happens. There we go. It's just making copies and it's doing again and again and again what we had told it to do initially. So I'm going to go ahead and center these, to our shape right here. There we go. And now if I wanted to, right, that when I look at the actual one, it looks like there's space between them and I haven't added space between them. So what I could do is we can transform, right? We can transform and just shrink them down. No, that's not quite right, right? We need to have a little space. They need to be thinner. So what we can do is instead of doing transform again, we can go in with all of these selected and go to Object and go to Transform Each. So transform each right here. And what that's going to do is it's going to treat each of these as individual shapes. So if we want to, we can change the horizontal scale and each of these shapes will change individually and not as a whole. So now we've got some nice little spaced out windows. All right, so we're getting somewhere. We're looking good, looking good. The next thing that I want to talk to you about and show you is this kind of lattice that's happening, right? We have this crazy lattice that's happening. And you could have just typed capital I, yes, a bunch of times. I agree. We have these like cross-hatching that's happening, and it looks very, very complex, but with the power of what we've learned, this is where it gets very easy, right? And you're looking at this and you're like, Andrew, there's so much left to do. You don't have any time. Oh, you just wait. We're going to create that little lattice piece, and let's say that it goes right here. And again, when you're working on illustrations, yes, you want it to be similar, but it doesn't have to be perfect. This is one assignment that you are allowed to cheat on. That's totally fine. Fine with me. So we're going to go ahead and map this out a little bit. And we saw the lattice, right? It was a lot of verticals and a lot of X's, right? It looks like it's super complex, but it's literally just vertical, 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 X, 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 right? So check this out. This is how I like to create my patterns using the Transform Again tool. What we're going to do is we are going to just make a single line here using the pen tool. And then again, we will click and drag a little ways away, and we have made a copy of it by moving it by a certain amount. We're going to hit Command D. Again, that's Object Transform and Transform Again. It's just going to keep going across there. And then we want to do our X's, or we want to do kind of the cross-hatching. So there's a couple ways to do the cross-hatching. One could be that we literally just go in and we make an X. We take this and we rotate it to make an X. And then again, we are going to use our holding down Shift and Alt to create that X, right? So this is one way to do it. And then we could select these. And what do we do, chat? That's right. We transform again. We move it over, and then we just hit Command D to transform again, and it will fill in all of those spaces for us. Another way that I like to do this is I like to actually just create long lines, right? And this is going to look crazy for a second, but we create long lines here. We move one and then hit Command D again. It's just going to transform again. We're going to take all these lines one more time, and I'm going to rotate them by 180 degrees so that they're going in the opposite direction. There we go. Let's go ahead and flip it. Oops. Actually, I'm just going to transform, reflect them. There we go. And now we have all of these X's. I would select these two, and I would create a clipping mask. So I would literally just clipping mask this into the space to create a nice little lattice pattern. So that's one way to do it. Not my preferred way. We're going to actually go with the way that we had done before, where we create an X right here, and then use the Transform Again tools by again hitting just Command and X, or sorry, Command and D. So we're moving it over, and then Command D all the way across, and you can fix up those little imperfections as you go. And I think that was my fault that it just went over a little bit. Let's fix it. See, this is what happens. Then I get in the weeds, and then we run out of time. There we go. So we put these in, and now we have that nice little lattice pattern. And we can actually do that around a curve. So I'm going to show you this real quick in the last few minutes that we have, is if we want to, right, we see this decoration that's happening right here. We can create a version of that, right? So I'm just going to create, there's a little circle here, and that circle comes down to these 2 points. Boop. There's one in the middle. Boop. And then there is a nice little curly Q kind of thing that comes up. So let's go ahead and just add in a nice little curly Q. A little swirly swirl. There we go. So we have one of those, and let's do just one more by transform and reflect. There we go. And this is where it's going to get very crazy. So doing the transform again that we have been using, I'm going to copy this little ornament that we have over here, and I'm going to place it right at the top of this circle. Now, the reason that it's important that it's at the top of the circle is instead of transforming again, we are going to transform around this circle. So check this out. We're going to select our object here. We're going to hit R for rotate, and then we're going to go into preview mode, which is just Command Y. And we're going to click here on the center. So you're not just going to click normal. You're going to hold Alt or Option, and you'll see it gives you those 3 little dots. And then we're going to click in the center here. So it will bring up this little preview window. And let's say that we want it to be 12 degrees. It's going to rotate it around by 12 degrees. Let's do 4. And you're going to hit copy. And again, because we just told Illustrator, I want you to take this shape, rotate it by 4 degrees, starting at this center point. When we hold Command D or we go to Object Transform again, it is going to keep rotating that all the way around the same way that we had it going, right? You're just telling Illustrator, do that thing again and again and again and again. So this is a great way to do ornaments, to make something that is a little unique to your design. And again, because we created this on this template, we can simply drop in a super rough, very, very rough clipping mask, and we can mask all of these in. So play around with those, and again, I want you to play around with as complex as you can get with this transform again. Try to get into the nitty-gritty of all of these little details and create a gorgeous Eiffel Tower for me that you can place onto our little memory postcard here. And once you're done with that, go ahead and head over here to bit.ly/AI Discord and post your work. I'll be going live pretty much every night this week to give you some feedback, to hang out, to give you some advice, and just check out what you're doing. So I really want you to go absolutely insane with this challenge. Make super complex patterns and use that. I want you to like have the Control and D keys just worn out on your computer. Just do something, and again, you're reminding Illustrator, what I just did, I want you to do it again and again and again and again. So yes, it's a little bit crazy, and Stephanie, it can get a little complicated, but go back and watch this, or tune in tonight. You can follow along on Behance. Somewhere there's a button to push that will notify you when I'm live, and we can talk through it some more, and I can show you some other things. Now, I know we went through a ton today. There was a lot to cover today, and we didn't really hit the final product. That's up to you. So take these concepts that we've learned today, make something really awesome. You don't have to do the Eiffel Tower. You could do the Louvre. The Louvre would be actually really easy to do with lines and triangles, and then just repeat them out. So play around with that and see what you come up with. I can't wait. Let's look at the schedule real quick. Coming up after me is our friend Sarah. We're doing some character design with her. And then good old Peter. Peter's doing the XD challenges today, working with stacks. And then I'll be back at 2:30 with my friend Jordan Iott to do Design in the Dark, which is a show where you, chat, get to make the decisions about what we're creating. Today we're working on a children's book and finishing up a children's story that we started yesterday. So go ahead and set your calendars for that. And I will see you again at 2:30 for Design in the Dark. Thanks so much, everyone, and and make sure you stay tuned for the next stream with Sarah. I'll talk to you tomorrow, 11:30 PST on the Daily Creative Challenge. Bye.